Welcome back to Built on Blues. I'm your host, Graeme Bryks, and we talk a lot about framing and concrete on the show, but today we're talking about the finish line. You walk into a retail store or you see a massive fleet of branded trucks. You see the brand, but you don't see the guy hanging off the scissor lift at 3 a.m., making sure that that vinyl is seamless. I've got Austin Park from Visual Installers in the studio. These guys are the special forces of the branding world. They come in, execute the install, and vanish before the store opens. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited to talk.
Yeah, I'm excited
Yeah,
to
I'm
talk about
excited.
this. A lot of AI stuff we'll be getting into, and that's what I'm going to be most excited about. But to start, I want to hear the origin story. Most kids don't grow up saying, "I want to be a master vinyl installer," right? Did you start? Did you start in the sign industry printing the stuff, or did you jump straight into the installation side?
Straight to the installation side. It was a very big accident to get into it. When I was really young, I was just learning to drive, and this guy asked me to drive for him, so that he was studying to be a paramedic. He's like, I need to study, and if you don't mind driving to all these locations and just help me clean windows and put the stuff up, that'd be awesome. I was like, sure. I mean, I love driving. Let's do it. So I was really young, and I did a bunch of those with him, and then went straight to I was just it was a very temporary thing. I was doing construction and handyman stuff from just the stuff I picked up from being raised on a farm. And but after that whole thing, I was overseas. I did a lot of humanitarian work doing construction and stuff in Africa and South America. And when everything was over, I came home, and my dad went through cancer and stuff, and my first business was just right back to handyman construction. And that same guy one day just called me and said, "Hey, I have an issue getting something done down in Tampa." And I was about 2 hours away. He's like, "Would you mind going down there and just managing this one little removal?" It wasn't an install or nothing; it was just a removal. Well, that one particular removal, I was able to pull it off in about an hour and a half. I hadn't been in the world for about 6 or 7 years, so I couldn't,
Yeah.
I barely remember it until I showed up, and I was like, "Huh, I remember doing something like this." But I made more in that hour and a half of work than I did an entire week doing handyman related stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this
That's way
instead." And I was literally just going to do it because I was like, "Hey, man, I didn't know what I was making. I just went down there to do it because I liked fishing off of the Skyway Bridge down there, the old Skyway Pier." And so no, it just like ever since then, I was like, "Man, you got any more?" And so he's like, "Well, do you mind traveling?" I was like, "Dude, my address has been my car for the
doing your
last
thing.
eon, so yeah, let's do it." And so then he just had me going all over the country doing this, and yeah, that's how it all started. And yeah, strictly install, and yeah, been to all 50 states. Me and my shepherd just lived in the truck, and our address was either a Chevy truck or a Marriott hotel. So that's how it started.
Love that. Doing whatever it takes, man. I love to hear it. The
Yeah,
installation game is, I would say, is definitely high pressure when it comes to like,
it's like,
messing up a possible Ferrari or even a high-end architectural firm in a lobby. That's
yeah, I
expensive.
steered away. Just to be clear, I steered away from the higher end stuff. I know where I'm
Yeah.
good, and it's not going to be a color change Ferrari. I do know the people that are good at it. You got people like Austin Smith over at 201 Wraps. You got Miller Decals up in the Atlanta area. You have there's a few guys that are just really good, and they're the best for a reason. So yeah, no, I didn't do any supercars. I worked on a few doing tint just as a helper.
Mhm.
I can never take the credit of somebody that can wrap a supercar. It takes a very, very skilled person for that.
Yeah,
But
fair enough.
still, the pressure is there because when you're working for, you name a retail store or brand, I've done work for them. You would be super hard pressed to find anyone that I haven't. They are very like, it's simple work, but you got to get it done. You have a tight window in a lot of cases before they open, after they close. They're paying somebody to be there for you. I remember there was one store. There was very high end watch store, and they literally had security there while we were doing it. They had to check our tool bags. They wouldn't really let us even use our knives. They had to be like, "Here, you can use your knife." Okay, now give me back your knife. And like things like that. They were
Yeah.
very adamant
Babysit
about
you.
that. Yeah, they were very careful because millions and millions of dollars worth of jewelry and watches are in there. And it was only an hour of work. It wasn't difficult work, but it was like just high pressure. Everybody's looking
Yeah,
over your
just 'cause
shoulder,
someone's
making
watching
sure.
you the entire
Yeah, making sure
time,
you're
make
not
sure you're
pulling out
proper.
something crazy, and yeah, you get these tight deadlines, and a lot of these. I mean, this is gonna sound super heartless because it is. I remember this wasn't my crew, thank goodness, but another crew, they got in an accident on their way to an install for a very large chain, and they ended up in the hospital. It was a day and a half or so, and they missed that install. Well, that retail chain Guy was like, okay, my friend explained it to him. He's like, okay, so who's gonna go fix it? Who's gonna go do it? Because you're behind now. Like they don't care.
They
They
don't
don't care
care.
about you. You have to
Yeah.
get it done, and if you don't get it done, they'll find someone who will. And so it's like that's a blessing and a curse because like the pressure is high. But if you're the one that comes through, you've got a pretty big account on you. All of a sudden. So it's kind of it sucks and it is heartless, but it is also how the
Business.
freaking huge corporate world works. That there's a lot of you. They'll find someone else if you're not going to come through. And I think
Yeah.
that's a blue collar world in general. That's the beauty of capitalism to a degree. I mean, freedom to fail. I mean, it sucks, but it's you have the ability to grow your business as big as you want, but also you can fall really far, really fast over
Yeah.
something that isn't in your control. Yeah,
So it's a bit of a gamble, but with the pressure, it really forces you to perform sometimes too. So like
it
I
does.
know that like that one story is really unfortunate and like that's super cutthroat and
Yeah.
corporate is
No,
also
I
not
should
not
probably
good,
add
but
that not everybody is like that. In a lot
yeah,
of cases, I mean, just this week alone, okay, so everybody's under snow. 40 states are under snow except for Florida. We're not participating in winter this year. But like everywhere else is under snow. We
yeah,
can't, install graphics if it's on the outside of a window. If it's under 55 degrees in most cases. Some stuff you can use. I've had to do some stuff in Alaska that did require a certain type of way to do it. But unless it's an indoor install, you can't do it. But in this case, everybody's stuck at home. I mean, unless you've got really good truck and the snow and wind is at least stopped, there's nothing you can do to get there. So in most cases, it's not that bad. But there are those people, just like there are those brands that are like the schedule is the schedule is the schedule.
get it
Don't
done.
screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, which is good and bad, especially when it
Yeah.
comes down to like the personal side of things. Going into the science, like you said, how snow is going on and you can't work. When you're dealing with architectural finishes or fleet wraps, what are the variables that you're fighting? Is it like temperature? Is it surface prep? Like, can you give us a little bit of the technical side so people can understand a little bit better?
Yeah, a lot of it's a lot of that. So in some cases, you'll have these really big chains. Well, they'll give you a bay. So we have an account where they take a a box truck or a box, put it on the chassis, drive it into weld it on, drive it into our bay, shut down the windows. We wipe it down, install the graphics, pull it out, put it on a trailer, and they take it away. But it's a consistent fleet that's going. And so if you have the bay, temperature controlled enough that you can keep it under, whatever the product, most of the time it's 55 degrees. So that's why I use that. But there are other products. But,
Hmm.
um, as long as you are able to keep it in a good area and, that area is also curtained off. So we're not getting the dust from the welders and stuff over there. You got to wipe it off and get your graphics on quickly so that there's no other stuff underneath it. So temperature and surface is the main ones, but you also need good light. I mean, if you're doing a full wrap on a vehicle and not just like spot graphics, you got to have some really good lights in that shop. You got to see it from different angles. You got to make sure that the guy is has a very clean area to work. You don't want any dust getting under there. You don't want any dirt, nothing. You want to wipe it off and be able to apply your graphic without there being any blemish to it, because you're trying to you could be trying to align the registration, which is you have a logo that goes across multiple pieces. So you're using a heat gun already, but if you're not in a temperature controlled area, what you normally would heat something, you may have to heat it longer, or it could be really hot outside, and so you're heating it less. That can bite you too. So
Yeah.
I haven't. I think I've done one install or two installs in the last year. Most of what I do now is in at my desk, and it's different trying to adapt to that part of it. But there are plenty of nights where I did want something for a sports team, and they have these fleet of vehicles. It's just spot graphics, but they refuse to let me bring them to my shop to put them on. And I'm stuck in a grass field where I literally had to like clean it off and get it on there as quickly as I could
Yeah.
before whatever happened. And then you couldn't do it in the middle of the afternoon because it was too hot in Florida, too hot and humid. Otherwise, it would stretch. And so then you have to like time when you're there, or how you're there, or put up a tent so that you're at least in the shade. And like, you have to fight that stuff because you are put into like, again, if you don't pull it off, they're going to go find someone that will. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to put your foot down and be like, okay, well, good luck. I
It
can't
is.
put my name on that. But if you believe in yourself and your skills enough to pull it off, you got to come through when no one else will.
I always find it really interesting how many different variables do come into play with these kind of things. A lot of people don't understand actually like people just like, you just throw it on when it's like, no, there's actually so many different variables and, very specific skill set that you need to have to actually like understand the elements around you to do your job, to make your job look nice even and make sure that's perfect. And especially with the pressure that is coming over you with over these corporate companies, but like you have to get it done, you have to get it done. So, I think it's really important for people to understand that side of it for to get a better appreciation of it.
Yeah, there's another aspect that a lot of people miss, and I was trying to explain this to somebody because we have a minimum, and they'd be like, "Really? You're going to charge me that to do this?" And it could be a very simple thing. So, like there's one particular store that I have done for almost 6 years straight. 3/4 like clockwork. They swap out the same exact graphic, the same exact thing. And it's a fabric graphic. It literally takes 60 seconds. It's not a very big one. You just pop off the old one, pop in the new one, take a picture, and you leave. Like it is that quick. It's to the point where I'm like on first name basis with everybody there at this point. And so they see me walk in, even though it's a high end jewelry store, they know me. I shake security's hand, pop it in, pop it out, take my shit. It's like 60 seconds. It literally is.
Yeah.
I've timed it. And so if I say, hey, my minimum is this, and you do that in 60 seconds, that means, however many tens of thousands per hour, if that adds up to that 60 seconds. But I'm like, okay, hold on a second. That one location is 60 seconds. But what if this was the same thing in New York City? And you go a few blocks could take you an hour, like just to drive, find parking, get the graphic, all your tools, lug it to wherever, find whatever floor it's on. Then you're dealing with small spaces already, and then they're really uptight about you being in the way of customers. Dude, it is a whole other level. And so I'm like, yeah, there's a minimum. We got to pay somebody to fight through all that stuff. He could be walking those blocks or an Uber or parking. The minimum parking in a lot of places are like $50 or whatever. Like, dude, you gotta fight for it. And dude, get to San Francisco. I'll never forget. I had this. It was for the Super Bowl one year, and they were putting this graphic up. I can't remember who the sponsor was at this time, but the sponsor had like 15 bars in San Francisco, and I had to put up one graphic on one window in 15 bars. It took me over almost 2 days. Something that if you just had the windows on the ground level and I just walked over and boom, I could do it all in a half a day. But because of how hard it was to hike up and down all those places, those hills are no joke. You got to pay for parking. You got to move. You got to get around people. You got packed bars, and you're trying to use a step stool to get this one window. It is
A
horrible. And
lot.
so like the installers are the real heroes. I mean, they have to put up with so much stuff. I mean, so many things they don't have that you can't plan for, from ice, fires, traffic, somebody else's accident, somebody else's this. Dude, I can't even tell you how many things come into play in just getting to the job site, let alone doing the job when you get there. Even if it is a simple one window thing, um,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It just sounds like a lot, and you guys cover a lot of ground. Managing, just like one crew is hard, but you mentioned that you're kind of taken aback from the actual in-field work. So
Yeah.
managing crews across different sites and different access codes and timelines is a nightmare. How are you handling the logistics right now? When a job is done, are you chasing your guys for photos and sign-offs, or can you get
No, they're
paid?
pretty good. I mean, we work on building the relationship so that we find the right people to put on whatever. We're pretty good about going. Okay, this guy is very good at communication and getting us our photos and getting us stuff. This guy is really good at the install, sucks at communication. He may be the better installer, but we may use him second just because the communication is so critical. Because we put them in a group chat with the client. Like, we want the client to be in as much control as they can to
Mhm.
give the approval or be able to make decisions that we wouldn't know. And so it's a critical piece that okay, let me back up. Some clients don't want it. They're no fuss, no muss. They just want to get it done. They want you to get it done, send the pictures, and be done. A lot of them, though, have control issues. I mean, they're held to these massive standards, and their job's on the line, and so they really want you to. They really want to be. Hey, can you send me a picture? Can you see this? And instead of playing go between, and you know how the game of telephone, how that game goes,
Yeah.
we just let them be on the group chat with them, and so it does go a long ways to build that trust and build that.
That connection.
Trust is really the best word for it. I mean, you really want to
Yeah.
make sure that you like the installers you're working with. If you're going to put them in touch with your client, you got to like them. Now, it doesn't always go super well. I mean, we have it our own. Everybody has their blacklists of people not to use because of how they treat a client. They can be the best installer in the world, but they didn't treat the client well. You got to have both. You got to be able to speak to a client, know your skill set. Otherwise, you don't get used again. And so there's a lot of
Like
pressure
customer
there, and a
relationship.
lot of yeah, the relationship is everything. I tell that to clients all the time. Like, hey, man, I'm looking for the next 30 years of business, not just one or two installs. So I don't mind taking a hit on an install. Maybe not make margin on this one. Make sure I do get the next one, and then it's a partnership. And so then they're going to be like, hey, I know we couldn't pay out much on this install, but hey, this one has a lot more room in the budget, and we can make it up for you. And so it's the relationship with your installers and the relationship with the client, and that is what you're juggling as far as logistics, just as much as you are shipping the graphics for this store to the right person and not getting the wires crossed, and make sure that these measurements and photos are for this location and these measurements and photos for this location, and keeping that all divided, but also a part of one package. And so there's definitely some details in there, but you know,
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot going on when it comes to like the back end side of things. A lot of installers rely heavily on ad agencies to feed them work, and it sounds like you guys have a lot of, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Word of mouth when it's like you have this blacklist of people not to use, so it sounds like it's a very reputable industry. Are you using any new go for it?
if we don't treat them right, it goes around. I mean, there are plenty of Facebook groups, and everybody's in there. Everybody knows everybody in some way or another. And so when I screw up, which I do, I mean, plenty of times, I'm not the best at it. Sometimes things happen, and I try my best, but also this fell through or that fell through, or what this person paid late, but then everybody decided to pay late, and so then you're like scrambling to get everybody's stuff situated, and then trying to. It is a big world, but a small community. I guess I don't know how to say it. Like, we cover a
Yeah,
lot of ground. It's you in today's world. Again, the beauty of capitalism in today's world is that if you screw somebody over back in 1900, you could just go to the next town over and do it again. Now you screw somebody over, there's
everyone
a
knows
poster
about
about
it.
you that 10,000 people saw that's going to spread through the rest of the industry, and you're gone. And so, again, the relationship is key, so that when you do screw up, there's some understanding, like, hey, man, I get it. We'll get you better, but I'm sorry. How
Yeah,
can I make it right? Whatever it is, because we had to, like, it is super stressful because you're the little man. Like, as a blue collar guy in general, you're dependent on the white collar guys to get their ducks in a row, to pay you on time, or to get you the graphics on time, or to get there's a lot in there, and so when you're trying to play go between on both, like, you're dependent on a lot of people too. Like, you are
yeah,
dependent on that guy saying, hey, this shipping to this address and it went out today. Okay, I need a tracking number, and then they don't get it, and then you don't get it, and then you don't get it, and then you're like, okay, do we send them and hope that it goes because they're not calling me back? Do we, like, what do we do here? And they're not calling me, they're not texting me, they're not doing anything. But that installer is lined up for that install. Like, do we just send them? Like, how do we do this? And trying to make those judgment calls, and that's where those relationships come in, because you don't know. I mean, it's one person doesn't communicate or communicates one digit wrong. The details, I stress it on my team all the freaking time. One digit can have the guy showing up a day early or a day late for an install that is for an event that is only going to last 3 hours, that is only happening one time a year. I mean, I think about all of
the pressure going on with the
especially the
pressure.
events. Yeah, to think events. Okay, so you see all of these celebrities or whatever, they stand on the red carpet and they have that back thing. Who do you
Yeah,
think puts that up?
you
We do.
guys.
Okay, so if that event starts at 11, and you can only get in at 8, you get this 3-hour window to work around 200 other people doing their parts of it. The carpet guys, the decorators, the caterers, the whatever. You're working around all these people to get your thing up and get out of there, and parking and this and that. You have a lot on the line, so everything has to be planned to the best possible ability. And then you have to have faith that your installer is going to push through and not just,
Yeah,
what, I'm not doing this, I'm out. So it's something else. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts that have to all move together. You
yeah.
know.
No, that sounds like the biggest piece is making sure it all moves together. When, you're talking about that one digit could possibly be off by human error, you see AI being able to come into place in those situations where, it makes sure that it automatically sends whatever the tracking number to one of you guys. So, you don't really have to deal with that communication line where it's like, "Hey, give me that tracking number. Hey, give me that tracking number." Are you guys using any AI right now to, automate that process or, help with it at least?
So we have started to. The problem is, I don't want to make it sound like I'm bashing a client or something, but if the client sends it wrong, then it automatically sends them the wrong one too. And so if it comes to us, we can click it, yes, this is the right one. And we can check it before it gets to the thing. Otherwise, you're like, no, don't, no, not that one. Oh no, not that one. Oh no, not that one. Because this literally happened today. I was like, hey, we could automate this with AI to do X, Y, Z. It is getting better. Here's a for instance of how it is going well, and I'll tell you an instance of how it didn't go well. Okay, so even these big companies that use AI, they screw up pretty big because if the front end piece isn't right, they send it wrong. So for instance, I literally was on the phone with an insurance company to
Mhm.
get your to be, which is what we need to prove that we had insurance this time to send it in with our tax returns. That big humongous company was using AI. They sent me a completely different person's stuff, and I'm sitting there holding this very personal information about this person's health insurance, because their AI was fed the wrong thing. Somehow a line got crossed. So it is getting there, but that line, you have to make sure that line is totally right. Otherwise, Alice, say you're sending an email to, send this to Alice. There's 6 Alices from 4 different companies. You could send it to the wrong one, and they could be you would know. You'd be shocked how many names with visual there is in this industry.
Yeah.
And so if you it could be, and it could be VI, like mine is visual installations, but it could be, visual impact or visual whatever. Like there's a thousand different things. So you have to have every T crossed and I dotted and number exactly right before you totally automate it. But here's how one thing did go right. We have trained an AI to do a lot of our estimating, and we just have a human review it. We're still having a human review it.
Yeah.
But because we had an inbox that was strictly for estimating, we were able to essentially plug the AI into that inbox to see exactly how we quote. And then I already had a sheet that I've been doing for pricing, so it was all consistent. I had to put in the right prompt, the right directions, the right things. I had to build it still. There was still, I don't want to make it sound like it was super easy, but it was able to be done by a
Yeah.
redneck nobody from nowhere, Tennessee, me. So it's possible. But I was able to piece it all together, put the right prompts in, take out the right things, put in this, put in that, so that we put in the scope of work, we get it out in the exact format how we want it. It is right most of the time. I would give it a pretty solid 95 to 98% correct every time, including all the things that even I missed going through it. And it caught it and I was like, that seems a little high. Why would you do X, Y, Z? And it was like, oh, well, because it was in this city state and had this little piece that added, extra time. And
Mhm.
you could miss something like this is before hours, and you could miss that in a huge body of an email, but the AI didn't miss it, and so it caught the overnight part of it, or coming in before everybody else. So most stores open at 8 or 9, so you got to get there at 5 to get your 3 or 4 hours before it opens to you get it all in there. So AI does have its place, and it is starting
Yeah.
to. Our estimates are coming out within seconds versus whenever the estimator gets to it. So that is a piece, and then there are quite a few things behind the scene that are automating. And I should say this, that estimator thing, it now kind of is running in the background almost. So I saw this, um, I saw this literally yesterday, and the light bulb went off enough that I'm like, dude, this is going to go so much faster. Like, I can't even tell you how much faster this is about to start going. And it was because a scope of work was sent. It was the initial request,
Yeah.
and it says, hey, can you do XYZ? And the AI had already written out a response with the quote and all of our assumptions based off of all the things. Like, it had already read it and made the
And
response and said, do you
yeah.
want me to send it? Now we don't even have to run it through the AI. The AI is already running it. Like I mean, I still haven't accepted that yet. I want to run the AI through us a little bit longer before I accept, just letting it do its thing, because there are some human elements you need to put in there,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I have it just spitting out numbers and assumptions. I want to add the human part of it in there. Like, hey, really excited to work with you on this. Let me know when it's approved, and we'll put it on the calendar. Putting that human element, that relationship that we've built, still having that, because I think that there's value in the inefficiencies of that. I think there's value to the human element, because if we go too much AI, then it's just all transactional and not building the relationship where they're like, hey, we want to use Austin for this,
Yeah.
because of XYZ. Otherwise, it's just an AI deciding who gets it based off of the lowest estimate. So, that's sorry, that was very long winded, but it was
Oh, no, that's all good.
it's it's seeing it in real time learn. Like, that was a fascinating thing to see that happen.
Yeah,
So
it's, but like you said, you still need that human touch, and when it comes to building like, you build it out yourself, and, people need to learn how to kind of do that kind of stuff because, like you said, now it's kind of delegating a task that would take you hours to do when now it's already received the information, gave you a pretty decent estimate, sounds like, and already drafted the email to send back to that person where that could have taken you so much time. But now you've had that time to work on your business instead of deal with a kind of a not a pointless task, but a task that now can be delegated to an AI thing that only spends 10 seconds to do.
Right. And it is getting better. The hard part is I'm a suspicious person by nature, so it's hard letting it in. But the more I let it in, so many things. But the more I do let it in and let it review things, dude, I can't even.
Well, it's learning too
It
now. Now
blows
it's
my.
like
It is learning. It is blowing my mind how fast things are. I started a sheet of prompts and I sent one out this morning, and it was just the review my emails over the last 48 hours. Give me a list of what's priority, what's this, what's that. And like, is it just a specific prompt for it to read my inbox and tell me what's the most pressing thing?
mhm,
Because we get so many, and all the ops people were like, "Oh my gosh," because it was just starting from the top and just working your way through the emails. But this gives you boom, you've now have your summary of an entire conversation of 37 emails, of where you're actually at. And here's a response that we suggest for it based off of the conversation that, it's read all those emails. And
mhm.
so the ops team was like, this is incredible. I got to work a little more on the admin and finance team, but honestly, getting the ops team to be, I think I told you in our call last week, my goal is, and it's lofty, but I guess the question is, can you double without hiring using AI? And so I think we're going to have to hire because if you double in size, you have new positions that a company that size does require. I have gone with that and just went headfirst into that thought, like, can you pull that off? And so I have spent so much time, but like Hormozy says, like, just what moves the needle. I am focusing strictly on that for the next 4 hours or whatever it is. I cannot believe how much the needle has moved since the week that me and you haven't spoke. Like, I can't even, my own head is like exploding. I was talking about it last night and I was just like, so many things. You now have different agents that I have trained to do exactly what I need to know. You think like
Yeah.
a CFO, you think like a CEO, you think like an ops manager, you think like this. And it's reading our HubSpot and workspace and all that stuff and can make these decisions, and at least give really sound advice. Sound is a bit strong. It can give
Correction.
data driven advice,
Yeah.
specifically data driven advice, because sometimes, again, the human element, there is a human nature to business. You can't just say price assumptions. I mean, you could, but there's no connection to the person on the other side of that email that you've worked to build a relationship with for the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
There's no relationship. It's ones and zeros. So yes, the estimator that I bought gives you the price on the assumptions. But when you send it to you review it, when you send it to them, there has to be some human element to it. And so I am getting strictly data, and then I put the human element to it, or I have other people do it. So that's the piece that the value and the inefficiencies. It's get the data and then lead. Leadership isn't just data, and so that's the part that has to come in. It's
Yeah,
a
no,
lot of info.
I feel like when it comes to that, like the leading part is so important because as much as you can implement AI into all these things and into your company and just have it do most of the admin work for you now, you still need that leadership skills to because just gonna have a small team. You're not gonna have this like huge team like you want. You said you want to double in growth without having to hire, but you need that leadership within your team to actually, still delegate tasks to people and all that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of human element that AI will never be able to replace, but I think you guys are definitely doing the right thing and taking the right step with AI for sure.
It's been, if you let your mind go through it and just, I don't know, I have been so shocked at what we've been able to do. I can't even, I don't even know how to put it into words. I've been so shocked just at I love tech. I think the future is cool to see all the things people come up with, but to be a part of that, like as a blue collar person, like blue collar is always 5 to 10 years behind when it comes to tech and automations and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But man, if you put it into that blue collar space, if you take AI and just connect it to your, let's say you're in Google Workspace, connect it to your Google Workspace and go, okay, you're the CEO. What are the 5 things you would change to do extra to double your profits in the next quarter or the next year? It's going to read everything and go, okay, here's some shortfalls, here's this or that, and just give it the instructions of you are the CEO and this is your goal. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Then put the human in it, because again, it can't lead. Computer can't lead, and you need people like Jocko out there to teach you how to lead. You got to have those people in there to do that because leadership is a skill that you cannot put a 1 and 0 on. I'm sorry, you just can't. So yeah, use the AI to give you the roadmap, and then you navigate
Yeah.
all the pitfalls, and how best to do X, Y, Z. Because there are plenty of things that if I just ran it on data, it's possible that I'd have more profit, but I would not have nearly the relationship that I would have. And when things go south and everybody stops paying and you're like, hey, I need a little extra time. I'm really sorry, whatever it is, you're gonna have that relationship where you can ask that. Or, hey, I'm gonna remember that this guy came through for me. I'm gonna give him this entire route all by himself so he makes a ton of money. Because he came through for me when an AI can't think through like that sort
Yeah.
of thing. But you can teach AI to see your books. I think I told you at the end of last year, I uploaded all of my financials. I connected it to my workspace, so it has the inbox, it has our Monday boards and like project management stuff. It has all the stuff, and it saw everything and says, "Okay, you're the CEO." I made the agent. You're the CEO of a company that's this size with this many people and doing this many things. Here's everything. What are the next 5 things you do? What are the next 15 moves, as Patrick David says? What are your next 15 moves
Mhm.
to make it the most profitable highest EBITDA possible by December 31st, 2026? You got yourself a roadmap. Now, hey, break it down into quarters. Okay, now break it down per month. Okay, now do X, Y. I don't know. That alone will get your mind thinking. And I work out. I'm in the man cave right now, and downstairs in my garage, and I work out, and I have a TV in there. That TV is almost always like new
Something
tools. Like
AI. Yeah.
Dan Martell is so good at what ChatGPT can do, but you gotta find people that can do Gemini because it works so much better with Google Workspace. But Grok is better at this. Dude, you learn that stuff. I have a whole window full of 4 tabs of 4 different AIs, depending on what I'm working on,
Yeah.
because I have different agents in each one, and I like the responses depending on, or cross reference them, of how they do it. And then ask AI, hey, what prompt do you need for me to get you to do this? And it will tell you, hey, this is the prompt you need to give me so that I can do that. So you give them the prompt and upload the document. Boom. Here's another perfect for instance. If you want to do nothing else, I had a sheet. We wanted to know the list of people, our top people that and it wasn't just we have it in a CRM, but like, what are our top people? Oh, obviously the people that we spent the most money on last year. So we got the 1099 document and put it into AI and said, give me the names and addresses off of this. Take everything else off. I had 107 or 207 or whatever it was, hundreds of names and addresses so that we can send them thank you cards that
Yeah.
fast. Versus me having to ask an executive assistant or somebody, hey, I need you to go through this whole document and do this off manually. Seconds. So it's done things where we have to we did a 2,800 site rollout last year, and it was a lot of work of getting the document ready. And then you uploaded it to Google Maps, and then you have your map of pins. But then you might have one line off, and then you're like, which line of 2,500 lines are we missing? You can now put it in there and say, hey, I need you to put all of these locations onto a Google map with these pins and use the right prompt. But if you use the right prompt, all of a sudden it's like, all right, here you go. And there's a PDF with all of the pins of all the locations that we needed to know where they were.
Yeah.
And it's like we're talking seconds versus half an hour. It's these little things. Raindrops make oceans, and so these little things go a freaking long way.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think we covered a lot of stuff, and
Yeah, sorry, I get
especially
talking about this stuff. I get really
no,
excited.
no. It's great. I agree a lot when it comes to knowing how to use AI and almost figuring out how to use AI to use AI. Like it's just this endless thing where it's like you could pretty much ask it to help you with anything, and it'll give you a good idea of what needs to be done in
Yeah,
order for that to work. I like how you're using different AIs for different things. I totally agree when it comes to Gemini is great with one thing, and then Claude's great for another. Like it's really insightful, and I think people need to hear that like you don't just use ChatGPT for everything. Like use other programs to cross-reference and, like, figure out how to solve problems in different ways because there's benefits to all programs out there. So, this has been
Native integration is such a critical piece of it, which is why we started Gemini with Google Workspace, because we were already in Google Workspace. Adding ChatGPT was like a little bit complex and it wouldn't read the email all the way through, versus in Gemini, I can just say, hey, find the conversation with the last time we did such and such project with so and so. What were the whatever? And it pulled up emails from 3 years ago and says, here's what you guys ended up on, and here's the pay scale you guys had decided on, and then here's the pay structure you guys had decided on with this client, because it was a new person. And so it was like it can go back 3 years. It can see those things. It can see those trends. It can see how you handle these situations. And since if you have it strictly divided up by like the person that estimates versus the person that does the marketing versus the person that does this, world of difference.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I did the marketing thing. This is how I did it. I had all these templates from past marketing things for the last 4 years. Copy and pasted, made them all documents essentially, and then I paid for Alex Hormozzi's AI, and I put them all in there and said, these are the things I've been doing. How do I make an offer that they can't that they feel stupid saying no? And it went through all of his books, $100 million offers, $100 million playbook, $100 million thing, money models, and everything. It's like, this is what you need to do. This is here's the offer you need to do. Here's the thing you need to change, and like just broke it all down, And so it's like, if you want marketing and sales, that's what I'm going to ask, not ChatGPT. So it's like ChatGPT has several of my other agents though, and so there's plenty of things that I run through that as well. And same with Grok. Love Grok.
Well, Austin, I just want to say thank you for the insight.
Yeah, man.
We unfortunately are cut for time here. For the companies listening who need a rollout handed professionally, where's the best place to find visual installers?
Yeah, visualinstallers.com is the website. There's contact info on there. You can submit whatever you want, whatever you need done, and we're happy to help. You can reach out to me on there. It's at austin@visualinstallers.com, and I'll make sure it gets in the right person in the company, or I'll respond back to you myself. But yeah, really excited to be on this thing and talk about this. I love it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on today and give us your insight about AI and exactly how you guys work and everything like that. So thank you so much. We'll put the links in the show notes. For everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us today. Keep building, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.
Have a good one. Bye.